Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to the Isle of Skye and Raasay Area Committee. This is a special committee of the Skye and Raasay Area Committee. Please note that this meeting will be recorded and archived on the Highland Council YouTube page. And as always, if any member has any technical issues or lose a connection, you have the details of an ICT officer who will help with reconnecting you. And again, just a reminder that the protocols are online for everyone to read. It might just be worth noting, as again, we've done it so often, to use the electronic hand if you want to speak, just following the protocol. There's no need to do a roll call. I think we can see that we're all here. So we've just got one item on our agenda today, the town centre money. And just before we debate and discuss this, just asking if anyone has any declarations of interest. No. So we're joined by Alan Webster this morning. Good morning to you, Alan. Good to have you. And Alan's going to speak to this paper about the town centre money, which obviously goes to Portree and to Broadford. And already, as members, we have had discussion about this funding and about it being split between Portree and Broadford, and asking the local trusts for their idea and where this money would be best spent. And as always, we welcome any money that is invested in our area, and we welcome this pot of money, despite it being a lot smaller than last year. And but again, we know that whatever money comes our way, it does make a difference and does help. And the two projects that are before us today are going to make a difference, not only to these town centres, but will have a wider impact on the community and those that visit the island. So thanks for being with us this morning, Alan. So I'll just hand over to you if you want to just speak to the paper, and I'm sure members will have questions or comments after.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. As the Chair alluded to, this was discussed at committee in November last year, so I don't propose to run through all the aims and objectives in the background to the fund. We've covered that off. Essentially, it's a duplication in the paper to that November report, and we also discussed it in various ward business meetings as well. Just to recap, Isle of Skye and Raasay Committee was allocated £56,104. So as the Chair said, a lot smaller than the last time round. And when we met in November last year, members considered a number of options on how projects could be identified and the fund invested. And as the Chair says, you agreed provisionally to award Broadford and Strath Community Development, Broadford and Strath Community Company and Portree and Braes Community Trust, the funds 50/50, on the proviso that they develop eligible project or projects in accordance with the criteria and to carry out any stakeholder engagement. And at that meeting, Councillor Finlayson also flagged up that Broadford and Strath Community Company may require additional funds to assist in delivering the 2019-20 approved project, and for that to be looked at. Unfortunately, at the November meeting, I didn't have any information to hand in that regard, so I did investigate accordingly. And it was agreed that the final detail of the projects to be agreed at a meeting of this committee, hence the paper before you today. So I would like just to jump straight into the detail of that, section 6. The two proposals are appended to the paper, so you do have the full detail. But in summary, Councillor Finlayson's assertion at that meeting in November was indeed correct. Broadford and Strath Community Company do require the additional £28,052 to augment their 1920 grant award of £99,483. Essentially, you might remember way back when we considered the first tranche of funding, the project in Broadford was in its infancy. You know, it was reasonably well developed, but still needed a bit of refinement, a bit of cost development to be done. And it has become evident that that initial TCF award is insufficient to deliver the project as envisaged and presented to you back then at that point. So this additional money has opportunely come along, and it would allow that project to be delivered, as I say, as anticipated. So the community company have provided a detailed breakdown of how the costs look now. As I say, that is appended consideration. And the second project, Portree and Braes Community Trust have developed two work packages. The first being £9,000 to purchase and install 3 stainless steel notice boards in the car park next to the Tourist Information Centre. Essentially, these boards will advertise local businesses and provide a small income for the trust, which can potentially be recycled in local initiatives. So that is a positive. And the second element is the remainder of the funds, the 19,052, to be invested in refurbing the small hall, the bar area, and also the disabled toilet of the Tree Community Centre. I know there's been a lot of discussion locally about this property and how it can be brought back into use. So then the expectation there is that the room could potentially be rented out as a business unit or for private business or community events. So it's got a number of potential uses. And the work will also include, as I say, the renovation of the disabled toilet to create a suitable facility for the public when events are held in the adjacent playing field as well. There is a wider aspiration, as I say, to develop a long-term business plan for the property, and this T-Safe investment is seen as being the first step in that process. The Portree and Braes Community Trust have consulted with the Community Council, and there does appear to be general support for this project. So from my perspective and from the perspective, I have no issues with deliverability of this project or any eligibility concerns. As far as I'm concerned, they're good to go members. So that concludes all I've got to say just now. Chair, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Alan, and thanks for all your work with us. We appreciate it, and just engaging with the stakeholders and just the communities as well. So yeah, we appreciate just the work you've done. So if anyone's got any comments or questions, just raise your hand. So start with Councillor Finlayson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Alan, for the work that you've done. I mean, I think what's really important in this is the fact that we're talking about localism, and the decision about this spend has come from communities. And in both Broadford and Portree, the community company and the community trust have been liaising with the community council. Very clearly in Broadford, as I did say in November, this is a really important project for Broadford, having the toilets in place, hopefully, to support a tourist season when it arrives. And we do know that there's need for toilet provision in Broadford. But for obvious reasons, and the society we're living in just now, costs have increased. And I think this additional funding to augment the funding previously received will be well used, as is documented in the paper. So, you know, I can only say this is a very, very positive project. And Portree, very clearly again, there's been communication with the community council, and the two proposed elements to their project, again, it's community based. So very clearly I'm supportive of both the Broadford and the Portree allocation of funding and how it's going to be used. So thank you for that.
Thank you, John. Councillor Munro.
Thank you, Chair. Alan, thank you for this paper. There wasn't much time, really. It was quite a rushed paper, and as many saying your timescale was tight, and you've done really well to produce this and liaise with the community companies or trusts. I think we all agree with the recommendations here. It's quite straightforward. These are really good projects and a time available. I think Broadford, it's important that this comes to completion. These toilets aren't just for Broadford, for the whole of Skye. I think probably almost all our constituents have used them at some point or used them regularly. So it's important that this goes ahead. Same as Portree. I think in particular the work on the community centre is an important first step in getting this building back into public use, and the aspirations to get the room rented out is good. There's revenue available there for the community, which is important. It's almost 16 years ago now since we had a wedding reception in Portree Community Centre. It was probably showing signs of a bit fatigued in those days, but it was a great venue, and I really think it's an important venue for Skye actually. So this is a good application for the funds, and I'm reassured, Alan, with your comments on deliverability and eligibility too. So thank you, Alan, and I can wholeheartedly agree with these recommendations.
Thanks, Callum. Councillor MacLeod.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Alan, for this report. It's great to see, just to echo everyone else's comments, it's great to see the Broadford public toilets getting this much needed boost. I think with Broadford being the gateway to Skye, I think that's very important. And it's also good to see that the e-bike charging point will be there as well. That's going to be great, and hopefully will factor into the sustainability of a future cycle pathway on Skye with encouraging cycling. And again, with the community centre, excellent to see that moving in back into public use. So thanks very much, Alan. Thank you.
Thanks, Callum. Well, the recommendations are before us in 2.1 to agree the funding for both Broadford and Strath and Portree and Braes Community Trusts. So we're all in agreement, membership?
Agreed, John.
Yep, well, thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Alan, again, for all your work. And yeah, there's a short time scale in spending this money, but I'm sure both trusts will do it well and within the time frame. So thank you.
No, thanks very much, Chair. Thanks for the kind words, members. I'll continue to work with the two groups and the project within the timescales.
Yeah, thanks, Alan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
thanks, Alan.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.